Good morning, Laura. Can you hear me? Good.
Oh, shit.
Andy.
All right, my darlings. Hello, hello. Good morning.
Morning.
Sorry
Good
about
morning.
that. Of course, they call me right as I'm logging on. So sorry. It's been a stressful morning around here. I'm sure most of you already know, but my dog is in a lot of pain and she's whimpering and yelping every time she moves. So I'm trying to get her in to see the vet this morning. It's just, one thing on after another. When it rains, it pours. And I'm
It
really
sure
trying,
does.
I really am trying to work on my mindset for y'all today because it's no fun, you know. I'm supposed to be the one that's encouraging, motivating, and uplifting, and I'm not feeling it today. And I'm just going to be very honest with you. But let's see. So I know I got 3 calls this morning for people that didn't finish their homework or have conflicting appointments or whatever. And so I did not want to leave the 3 of you having probably done your homework because I know the 3 of you. I didn't want to leave the 3 of you hanging with waiting on people who didn't do the assignment. So I wanted to be here for you and check in and kind of at least start the process of us talking about your homework, your struggles with completing this activity, help you massage some of the words that you have. I am going to ask you to be vulnerable with each other and with me. Obviously, it's very personal when you start doing some introspective work and you start really digging deep about what your core values are. This dog is something else. I love it.
That was funny, Bonnie.
And that's why I'm usually just beat DaCosta.
It's okay. You're entertaining it, and I needed a laugh, so thank you. That's hysterical. But when you start doing some introspective work like this, sometimes it's really hard. I find agents, as arrogant as some of them are, and the egos that we have, I do find that it's hard to talk about yourself. It's hard to sell yourself to other people. It's hard for you to really pound on your chest and talk about how amazing you are because that feels, and y'all live in the South. It feels braggalicious. It feels like uncomfortable. It feels like I'm selling myself and it feels icky. But I guess I want to tell you guys, if you're not going to sell yourself and you are uncomfortable talking about yourself in a positive way, you're going to have a hard time getting other people to see the value in your services. You're going to have a hard time. Who's going to know that about you unless you tell them, right? Unless you have an army of people going around talking about how incredible and amazing you are at every turn. I'm very fortunate. You guys do that for me all the time, but not everybody has that, right? And if you don't have an army going around telling the world how incredible you are, you have to do it yourself sometimes. But there's a way that you can do it without being arrogant, without being salesy, without being, and the way I'm trying to teach you to do it is through storytelling. You don't have to stand there and pound on your chest and say, I'm the most amazing real estate agent you've ever seen. No one believes that anyway, right? But you're going to do it through telling stories that are relatable. You're going to do it by sharing experiences that tell people what they need to know about working with you. You're going to do it by telling people what you believe in versus telling them who you are, right? If I tell you what I believe in, you have a better understanding of what makes me tick. You have a better understanding of at least trying to gather some information about what makes me unique, right? But if I just tell you, you know what, I sold 50 houses last year, or I, sold 20 some $1 million worth, that doesn't equate to people. People don't care about that, right? That's not relative. But if I say, I helped 5 first-time home buyers get into their first home and now are building equity and already have $40,000 worth of equity, that's a story that's relatable. That's something that gives somebody hope. That's something that tells people that you do work with first-time home buyers and here's the outcome we've gotten. They don't care about the number of houses you sold. They don't care what your volume is, right? They care, how did you help an individual buyer? How did you overcome their challenges? What special sauce did you bring to this equation? What was your role in it? And then tell me more about how you operate. What should I expect from you? Tell me what you believe to be that's really to the core of who you are so that I know we're going to even get along. Do we believe in the same things, right? When it comes to real estate. I don't care if you believe in aliens. That's not what I'm trying to connect with you on, right? And I use that as an example because I don't believe them, but that's just you, that you do you. But my point is, what do you believe in terms of real estate? And is that relatable? Can you find a way to articulate to these people what it is that you believe in that makes you connect with them on a deeper level, right? Stop talking about the houses. Unless you are literally a specialist in waterfront property or a specialist in farmland or a specialist in equestrian properties, the houses don't matter. They want to know, do you have experience with a unique situation like me? The type of buyer that I am, the type of seller that I am. How have you helped people like me in the past? Everybody gets that, right? So talk to me a little bit about your struggle, if you had any, completing this exercise. Like, let's back up to the very beginning part where it says the first page was for you to identify who your target client was. That should have been an easy activity for all of you, just because you better have an idea of who your target client is. I know the 2 at the bottom of my screen do, because they work with me every day and they know I preach that until I'm blue in the face. Who are you trying to attract? Who are you trying to work with? Because you can't be you can't be everything to everyone. You have to have a subset of specialized services or specialized skill set that reaches out to a group of people, because those are the people you want to work with. You're not trying to work with everyone, regardless of the fact if you think you are or not, you're not, right? Your message is muted, it's clouded, it's watered down. So talk to me a little bit, and you guys, go in turns or whatever, but talk to me about, did you have any trouble identifying the target client part? No? Perfect.
No, that was the easy part.
I thought so too. Because you pretty much kind of have an idea of that, right? You guys already know who your target client is. The next one says, obviously I've given you the anatomy. It starts with the belief statement. It's an example of who you've helped and how, and then the ask. So let's go back to belief statements. Does anybody want to share with me their belief statement?
I will.
Okay, Cindy's going to go first. Go ahead.
So I wrote, I believe we all have a unique business and clients we want to serve. I am deliberately different by providing exceptional service, and I strive to build relationships. You are more than a client to me.
Okay. I think it's a very good start, Cindy, right? So here's what I want you to know. And I'm not being I'm not trying to be critical of all of you, but this is a very refined statement. So here's the thing. I'm going to push back on you, and with all the love in my heart, you know that, because I love you. Like you're so important to me. But I'm going to push back on you because your belief statement is not strong enough to capture attention, right?
Okay.
Your belief statement needs to be a punch in the face or a punch in the gut, a punch in the heart of, I believe that home buyers and home sellers deserve more of real estate agents. That's a punch in the face, right? That's a let me get your attention. I believe that you deserve the best service that I provide, or I believe you deserve exemplary service. So massage, go back, Sydney, and massage that belief statement a little bit more and go a little deeper. Be more vulnerable with the client that you would be delivering this to. And because here's the thing, I know you and I know how hard you work for your clients. They don't have any idea yet, right? You're
Find
muted.
it down to
Oh, good.
where it was the cause and effect.
Okay.
So then I wrote, I believe that I am deliberately different by providing exceptional service, giving personal attention on all aspects of your real estate transaction so that you have the best real estate experience possible while ensuring you reach your goals.
Okay.
But but I feel like it's still too long.
Well, it is, and it also is not how you naturally talk,
Right.
right? When we write this, we can be very poetic and very floral, and we can make it sound all amazing because we're writing it, right? But then I want you to imagine if I were standing in front of someone, would I talk like that? Would those be the sentences that I use, the words that I use, the language that I use? And I would say that that's probably not how you would talk, Cindy, if you were meeting with a client. I don't think that's those sentences that would come out of your mouth at all, right? So I want you to, and I don't mean to use the word dumb it down, but I want you to go back to it. And then remember, I told you, please understand too, this is something you're going to massage. You're going to
Right.
refine. You're going to edit multiple times. I have probably 40 versions of an explanation of service that took me 30 some edits to get to where it was just right. So just remember, this is something you're going to continue to refine, continue to work on. My advice to you, Cindy, and I appreciate you sharing with us, and don't worry, the other two of you are coming up. But my advice to you would be, make your belief statement something powerful, something attention getting. What do you believe that would almost make somebody go, oh, I've never heard an agent talk like that, or I've never heard it phrased that way, right? And then when it comes down to who you serve, Cindy, I want you to pick one example of a client in the last 3 months, and I can give you 5, but I want you to pick one example of a client you've helped in the last 3 months that you went above and beyond to help them. But don't just say exemplary service. What does that mean? Do you think the consumer understands what exemplary service looks like from you?
Mm-hmm.
No. So I want you to go a little bit deeper and give details like, I believe that every home buyer and home seller deserves an agent who's willing to power wash their sidewalk or to meet every person that comes, every vendor that needs to, whatever the stuff is that you do, right? I want you to be very specific and don't use flowery words like I provide exemplary service, because even though that's true, it's not relatable because they don't know what that means. What does that look like? And you don't have to come up with a list of 50 things. I want you to pick one. Have you ever had an agent that was willing to ... whatever that is? I'm going to tell you right now, if you tell me I pressure washed the sidewalk and the front porch for a seller, I've probably met 3 agents in 25 years that would be willing to do that. Right? I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but I'm saying it happens so rarely and infrequently that the consumer doesn't know that that's what you mean by exemplary service. So I want you to drill down a little deeper on that one, and think about how you can explain to somebody what the exemplary service is that you provide in a very short, concise way. Pick one example. Okay. All right, Tom, you're next.
Hey,
AKA Jillian.
AKA Jillian. Hey, I appreciate it, everyone. I hope everyone can hear me. By the way, I'm Tom Miller. And I appreciate you allowing me to be on this meeting, Laura. I appreciate it very much. Now, I have my belief statement. I'm going to ad-lib a little bit based on what you just said, which is great. And I was thinking about it. My belief statement is that I believe that I can get my clients from point A to point B during the entire process. I believe I'm able to solve every single problem that may come up with my and to be able to solve that problem with my experience and understanding of the situation. And I truly believe that I'm able to ensure a smooth and seamless process so that my clients can relax and know everything is taken care of. A perfect example of that, everyone, is I recently helped a family of 6 acquire a property in Dixon City, Tennessee, city of Dixon, where they were unable to get horses on the property due to the zoning. And I was able to finesse the zoning director and supervisor into allowing us up to 2 horses in writing so that they could have horses for their 6 little girls, which was the whole point of them moving to Tennessee in the first place.
Awesome. I love the example. And again, I'm going to come back to you with your belief statement. Do you believe that your belief statement is more about you or more about the person you're trying to help?
It's currently more about me. It's
Right.
I.
Right. So what I want you to do is swap that around and say what I believe in relation to them. I believe that a client needs an agent who will advocate for them, help them get zoning changed, help them achieve their goals by doing ... But I believe you deserve an agent. So I would take it as I believe that home buyers deserve an agent who's willing to ... right? Or who they deserve an agent who has the knowledge and know-how to help them solve their problems from A to B. I just want you to flip that I believe statement to be more about what they deserve versus what you do, right? It's not about you so much. It's about connecting you to them, right? So I want you to focus more on changing that belief statement around to say, I believe something that I think you really care about, right? Like I think is important to you. Does that make sense? Okay. Bonnie, you're next.
Well, now mine's all screwed up.
No, it's not. It's okay.
Yeah,
Because
I-
everybody learns from the criticism of each one, I promise you, because they're all taking notes and refining. And I told you, just be gentle with yourself, okay? Don't worry.
I had started off by saying, I believe that our stories shape who we are. And by providing my clients with my market knowledge and resources, I assist my clients in navigating to the next chapter of their lives, but that's very vague.
Yeah. And
So
you
I
know
know I
what?
need to
That's
pin it down.
okay. But now you know how to take it and go, okay, so the other thing I'm going to come back to you with the same thing with Cindy is market knowledge is very vague to a consumer. They don't know what that means, right? But how about I believe that you deserve an agent who keeps their thumb on the pulse of what's happening in, you know, White House, Tennessee, whatever your area is, right? But I believe that you should hire an agent. Or I believe that every home buyer deserves an agent. You guys notice I keep using deserves, right? I believe that everybody deserves, because what I want them to say is, you know what? I believe that too. And I want an agent that is like that, right? I deserve that. I'm worth that. So I want you to focus more on the generic term of market conditions and strategies. I need you to be more definitive about what those are for a consumer. So I believe that they deserve an agent who knows what type of seller concessions are being given, how much list price to sales price ratio they can expect in White House, etc. Right? So I want you to define what that market expertise is that you bring to the table. Okay. Very good start. I want you to understand, like, if you're kicking yourself, don't. This is very hard. I promise you, I took the guy who came up with this entire strategy. I went to a retreat in Florida where I took this course from the guy who invented it. And so we had 30 professionals of all different industries, all having to write their explanation of services. And I'm going to tell you, it was humbling. It was hard. Even the people who thought they were the smartest people in the rooms, theirs were torn to shreds and edited and read and bleeding from edits. And I just want you to know this is something that you got to start somewhere. And I'm proud of all 3 of you for taking the start. You're on the right track. And my advice is just to help you massage it and hone it so that it's relatable to the person, so that it has the impact that it's supposed to. You can have all the flowery language that says I'm a market expert and I'm an incredible negotiator and I've sold this and I do more than what's expected. But until you really define those things for the consumer, they still don't know what you mean, right? Those blanket terms like exemplary service or going the extra mile or extra, those don't mean anything. I want you to drill it down deeper. Okay. Go down into more detail and pick an example that's relatable and relative. Okay. All right. The next section, and you guys are going to play with that whole, you're going to play with the whole belief statements a little bit more. I want you guys to think too a little bit more about what makes you unique, what makes you special. Is there an area you serve, a client type you serve, or is there a special skill set that you bring to the table that makes you unique? What is the special sauce that Bonnie has, right? Bonnie, I think you disarm people and make them feel comfortable very quickly. You're so warm and inviting and friendly that people trust you right away. They love working with you, right? Do you think everyone knows that? No, right? But it's hard to talk about ourselves that way because that's not how we see ourselves all the time, right? That's not how we think, even though I know I'm a great person. I know I'm a great agent. I know I'm friendly. Until we hear those things from other people, sometimes we don't believe it to be true, or we don't tell people that, right? Because it comes off as being braggy. I need you to brag on yourself for this particular exercise, as uncomfortable as it is. Again, I want you to imagine you get 3 minutes to capture somebody or not. You also get 3 minutes to weed the room. If there's a room of 1,000 people, this statement should give you the 3 minutes to identify who in the room believes what I believe, who in the room relates to what I'm saying, who in the room needs the services that I provide. We are not in sales. We are in the service industry. Who in the room needs me? Who in the room would be better off with my help than without? Right? So I want you to brag on yourself because you have 3 minutes. That's it. You may only have 30 seconds. And I want you to do it in a way that does not come across as arrogant, but comes across as storytelling and relatable. Okay? I'm using the same words over and over again for a reason. Because I need you to hear when you're looking at your homework, when you're looking at the sentences you're writing, is this relatable? To whom? Is it relatable to the target client I identified? Because here's the thing, a lot of the EOSs that I see, there's a disconnect. Their target client is here, but their belief statement is attracting somebody totally different. Does your belief statement attract who you're trying to look for? If I was an equestrian agent that specialized in many farms, my belief statement would mention those people specifically. Not I believe everyone. I believe buyers who are interested in equestrian farms deserve to have an agent who knows the rules and regulations for livestock, or knows how many houses or how many horses or cows per acre, or blah, 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 blah. Knows the value of paddocks and equipment and stuff like that, right? You need to think about who the target client is and what does that agent need to know? What experience do they have to have? What level of expertise do they possess to best serve that client? I want you to include more details about who your target client is in your belief statement. Is if it doesn't, your belief statement is too broad. Your belief statement is not relatable enough to the specific person you're trying to attract. Does that make sense? Tom's kind of looking at me wonk-eyed, so I'm trying to make sure he's following me too. Like, okay. So I want to make sure you are really drilling down on who it is that can relate to what you're saying. I don't want you to paint a broad stroke that is, I believe all buyers are all sellers. No, specifically, who is your buyer or seller? Okay. In what area? Make sense? Okay. The next one is your cause and effect, right? Now I'm going to give you the example on the cause and effect. I'm going to go back to the financial planner that told his belief statement while he was deployed, his mom died, and the mom was completely unprepared, right? Her estate had not been settled or planned. So the effect of not having a financial planner or financial advisor was that the family was left with nothing. The family was left without safety and security, right? So it's very relative. His statement is very relative for financial planning when people think about the worst that can happen, right? Your cause and effect should be similar to that. What could happen if someone hires an agent that does not have the qualifications or skill set that you have? For Tom's example, his people would not have been able to buy the farm that they wanted, which was specifically the reason they wanted to move to Middle Tennessee or Dixon, because he was able to help them. They were able to achieve their goals, right? I want you to think about, what is the skill set or expertise that you have? What's the effect of your belief, of your service? So for Cindy, when she says, like, I go above and beyond, the effect is I've helped you prepare your house appropriately so that it sells faster, right? Or my hard work is going to help you get closer to your list price because we've prepped and prepared the house. She also has been dealing with some clients who are either elderly, mentally, I'll kind of say decapacitated, but, like having some challenges, or even not even in town, right? And so for her, the effect of her hard work was that these clients were able to accomplish their goals because she was willing to do A, B, and C when they were not able to, right? So what would happen if she wasn't able to do those things, or if she was not willing to do those things? These people's homes would have sat on the market longer. They would have gotten beaten up on the price, right? Or maybe, they wouldn't have been successful in selling their house at all. But I want you to think about, what is the effect of what it is you do. So typically, again, if I bring it back to real estate, if the effect is that my clients save, again, I'll put on my investor hat. So let's pretend I'm a realtor that specializes in investors. I believe that investing in real estate is the fastest way to acquire wealth in this country. Because I work with so many investors, I have, relationships with vendors that help save my investors anywhere from $17,000 to $30,000 on their first purchase of investment property. That's an effect of my service, right? So I want you to think about, what is the effect of the thing that you do? What is it that you bring to the table that is because of the work that you put in, or the special skill that you have? How does that client benefit? And I don't want you to use reaching their goals. I know that I'm not picking on you. I'm just saying reaching your goals is very general, right? That's that broad paint stroke. I want you to say, what goal did they achieve? For Tom, he's very specific at this point, once he got it, is that they were able to buy the horse farm, which was their goal, right? But if I just say achieve the goal, that gets lost. So I want to say they were able to save $20,000. They were able to negotiate, closing costs paid on their behalf. They're able to sell their home in shorter amount of time. My favorite when it comes to sellers and an explanation of services is that, because of my experience and my expertise, my sellers earn more money in the shortest amount of time with the least amount of inconvenience on the sale of their home. That's 3 benefits that they get from my experience and my expertise, right? But I would not use experience and expertise. I would be more specific. Because of the way I prep a house for sale, because of the time that I invest on the front end properly pricing a house, and because we make the greatest first impression when we put the house on the market, my sellers earn more money in the least amount of time with the least amount of inconvenience. If you are a home seller, is that not relatable? If that's what I'm looking to do, you're the girl I need to talk to, right? Or the guy. Got me? Yeah. Is this making more sense? Like how you're going to refine what you've done thus far? Okay. The last part, which I don't know that you guys got to, I understand the cause and effect part. Let's talk about the proof. And again, this is where you're picking a specific client. I recently had a client, and I'll use Cindy as an example again, just because I know what the hell she's been through. But I recently had a client who was having some memory care issues, was really unable to handle a lot of the things that a normal seller would handle, like putting their house on the market, allowing showings, getting their cats out of the house. That was too stressful for her. So Cindy would say, I was able to find an investor that bought her house off market. So our client was not inconvenienced, right? And she was able to procure a cash sale with the least amount of inconvenience to her client, which would have been traumatic and stressful for a client with memory care issues, right? But because of my connections and knowledge and know-how and experience, I was able to orchestrate this so that she could sell her house quickly for cash without being disturbed and without any trauma to her animals or herself. That's relatable. That's a shining star moment. That's a story you tell that people can say, wow, look what she did. But if you just say, I put the house on the market, I got it ready, it sold quickly, that's not interesting. That's not a story that people will relate to. It also does not demonstrate your ability or special skill or what you brought to the table, right? But I want you to think about, how can I insert my special skill and what my special sauce and what I brought to the table? What was the reward at the end, and how was I involved in it? Okay, how did I solve the problem? I've always told you guys, if you start thinking about the problem, well, the problems that people could encounter, what could go wrong if people don't hire you, what could go wrong if someone didn't have Tom, if that client didn't have Tom, they would have not been able to purchase that property would not have met their needs, right? Would they have found another agent who knew how to navigate the zoning appeal? That not a lot of agents have experience in that, right? So again, what did you bring to the table that helped people achieve their goals? But don't just say I helped them achieve their goals. How did they achieve their goals? Okay. And what was your role in it? The last part of it is the close. And this is the part you guys shy away from. This is the part you're like, oh, I got the first part and the second part down. Okay, great. But if you don't have the close, what's the point? Right? The close is going to look something like, if you believe what I believe, and you think I'm the right person to help you with ... whatever it is that you can help with, what's keeping us from working together? What's stopping us from working together? Wouldn't you also like to achieve the same result? This is going to be hard for some of you because it's going to feel icky. It's going to feel yucky. It's going to feel salesy. But let me ask you a question. If you go back to the intent of this, the purpose of this is to clear the room, right? Not clear the room like you farted and everybody ran. To clear the room, I'm just making sure you're awake and listening to me. Sorry. So, not to clear the room like you turn the light on and the cockroaches spreaded. I mean, you cleared the room to find the people that are your people, right? To identify the people that believe what you believe. To identify the people who value you and your special skills that you bring to the table. So if that is the intent and you're not willing to ask the hard question, how are you going to do that? You have to ask the question, which is, if you believe what I believe and you think that I could also help you achieve whatever that goal was, if I could also help you find a horse property, if I could also help you sell your house in shortest amount of time, the least amount of inconvenience for the highest dollar amount possible, if you believe that I'm someone that can help you do that, what's stopping us from working together? What's keeping you from referring me to someone else that I can help? Right? But you've got to feel comfortable recognizing the fact that without you, they might be paired up with some jackahoo who doesn't know shit, doesn't know anything, who just got a license yesterday and is winging it. Or maybe they got paired with somebody who's been licensed since 1958, has no idea what the new laws and rules and regulations and technology can help them find the right property. What is the special sauce? But you've got to stop feeling icky about the close, because the close helps you identify who it is you want to work with. The close helps you identify who in that room is my person. Because I'll tell you right now, and I said it last time in part 1, I would rather tell somebody if you believe what I believe and you think that I too can help you with whatever this is that you need help with, and I say, what's stopping us from working together? And they say, well, my mom is a realtor. Okay, great. I don't have to take you to lunch. I don't have to send you a gift card. I don't have to call you for the next 3 months. You're not my person. Let me point my attention to someone else who does believe what I believe and who needs me, who believes that they need my help. I would rather know that right up front than to invest hundreds of thousands of dollars in people who are not my people, or my time, which is also worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. If you believe what I believe and you think that I can help you also achieve this, then what is keeping us from working together? What is stopping us from working together? Then we should make an appointment to talk later. You don't have to ask what's keeping us. You should say, then we should make an appointment to talk. We should make an appointment to talk about how we can work together. If you believe what I believe and you think I'm the person that can help you purchase a house in the next 6 months with the least amount of stress, with the systems and processes to help you avoid things that could go wrong, then we should talk one-on-one to see how I can help you. Does that make sense? It cannot feel icky to you. If it does, you're missing the point. You're missing the reason for the explanation of service. You're missing the benefit of the explanation of service is to identify who I need to talk to in this room. Who is my person in this room? And if nobody in that room is your person, you either need to get better at articulating who you're looking for, or you need to get better at putting yourself in the room full of people that are your people. If you go to networking events where there are only realtors, what's the point? Right? But I see it all the time. I look at agents' schedules and calendars. Send me a list of all your appointments this week. And I look at it, it's all realtors. Are other realtors buying houses from you? Are they selling houses from you? No. You got to spend time with the person that you're trying to attract. Go back to who that target client is. Are you in front of that person enough? Where's that person looking for an agent? Are you there? Do you have an opportunity to interact with the person you're looking for or attract them at all? Okay. Is this more helpful to help you go back to your statement, to refine it, massage it, edit it? Yes, no, shake your head. So I know, besides Bonnie, I hear hers rattling. I need the other two. Okay. So, I want you to go back and massage your belief statement, drill down on who it is that you think believes what you believe. And then I want you to stop writing generic statements. And I want you to be more specific in your examples and your effect of what your service brings to the table. What is the effect of that? Right? Don't just say they achieved their goals, right? No, they saved money. They avoided a lawsuit. They sold faster. They sold for the, remember, again, I'm gonna put on another hat. Let's say I live in Beaufort, South Carolina, and I decide I want to be the mobile home queen. This would never happen, but I'm just saying if it did. Not that I have anything against mobile homes. I'm just saying, y'all know I have the highest price sale mobile home in Beaufort County in history. If I were trying to attract more people like that, that would be my prime example about why I'm the special sauce. You don't have to have an accolade, though. You have to have a story. You all have stories. It doesn't have to be, I sold more homes than anybody else. It doesn't have to be that I had more transactions. It doesn't have to be anything like that. But you can find a data point that makes you stand out from somebody else, right? We sold it we got it under contract in less than 10 days. We saved them $30,000. I was able to negotiate home closing costs and buy down points for my buyers, saving them $1,200 a month. That's the point. That's the data point, right? Tell those stories. What was the outcome of your assistance? How did you contribute to that outcome? That's what you need to be highlighting. Okay. But remember, I'm going to go back to Tom's example. It cannot only be about you. It has to also be about them. What was unique about that client that is relatable to every other client you might have? What do they share in common? I work with a lot of first-time home buyers that are afraid of buying in this market. They're afraid the market's going to tank and they're going to lose money. What's my outcome for that? What's my resource for that? How can I help them feel more confident? Right? So I want you just to think about, what is the outcome? What is your impact on it? And then how do I articulate that to somebody that is relatable to somebody else that is not only focused on me? Right? That's why the belief statement is such an important part of this, because the belief statement is supposed to hook them. It's supposed to grab their attention. It's supposed to punch them in the throat. Oh, that hurt. And when I use that financial advisor, that financial planner example, it's relatable, because who wants their family to be left with nothing? Or who wants someone to die and their family be unprepared? That's relatable to a lot of people, because it's a lot of fear that people have, right? So what is a common fear that your target client has? What's a common problem that your target client, has? When you start having solutions in place for those common issues that come up, you've already established yourself different and established yourself apart from the competition of all the other agents that are out there. If I were to line 100 agents up and I were to ask them, what makes you unique? And trust me, if you don't know the answer to this question, you've already lost, right? Because when I go to a listing appointment, I will tell them what makes me different than other agents is. And Cindy could do that all day long, blindfolded. What makes her unique is what she's willing to do that others are not. And you're all like that. Everyone on this call is like that. You all go the extra mile. But do your clients know it? Do they have to hire you to know it? Or is that something that you readily tell people? Listen, I'm not like other agents. We have got to start saying, I'm not like other agents. I am deliberately different. And what that means is I have chosen to be in a category outside of what you've known in the past. Right? So I want you to go back and massage, edit, refine your explanation of service. Any of you that want to email it to me, you can do that at hello@recoachcrate.com. You can email it to me once you've been it all together. I will be happy to give you feedback and tell you where I think you need to refine, edit, massage a little bit more. Okay? But this is something you're going to continue to work on. You're going to continue. Now, the last part of this is practice. Here's the other thing. It cannot be so long that it takes you 10 minutes to get it out. It should be, and this is the part where we're going to massage, refine, and edit more and more and more until we can get it concise. And it's going to be max 4 or 5 sentences. Okay? And really, I'd love to see 3 or 4. It's hello@recoachcrate.com. You're welcome. hello@recoachcrate.com. Feel free to email it to me. I will give you feedback on your explanation of service. I would also encourage you to go back to last week's video, or the handout from last week, where there were belief statements included in there. We'll go back through those belief statements and read yours and see how yours compares to those, and then see if you can insert some additional detail in that belief statement that includes your target client. I believe that divorced women, right? If I was a real estate agent who specified or specialized in divorced women, I believe that divorced women deserve representation when they're buying a house that allows them to regain wealth or whatever. Divorced women, sometimes get everything, but they have a hard time buying another house. If they don't get to stay in the family home, they might have trouble. Whatever it is, you need to identify the pain point, have the solution, and talk about your effect, your role in it. Okay. Did this help a little bit? Okay, good deal. I do want you to practice, again, once you send it to me, I can give you some advice about how to make it more concise and shorten it. but you are going to have to practice it. And then we're coming back to you, Cindy. I want it to sound like you. I want it to sound like how you talk to somebody, because it should flow out of your mouth very comfortably, that it's believable. If you're having to memorize it and you're like, I strive to blah, 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 that's not how you talk, right? That's not how you talk. So I want it to be a reflection of you and your personality. I want it to be believable. I want it to be relatable. And I want it to be something that when it comes out of your mouth, people know that this is truly how you feel and it feels natural, right? Make sense? Wonderful. All right. Anything else for me that anybody wanted to run by me or ask me?
Is there any other homework other than sending you the email with the new release
No,
statement?
just keep refining it and working on it and then email it to me. Next week, we're actually going to talk about scatter plot versus a CMA. So I'm going to show you the difference between the two. And if you're like, I don't even know what a scatter plot is, that's why you're going to show up next week, because I'm going to show you. And I'm going to teach you what it is. It is a more mathematical, statistical approach to pricing properties instead of subjectively looking at the data and comparing one to another. It will actually plot on an XY axis where the house should be priced. And I know, Bonnie, the only math I do is X times 3%. So trust me, this is a difficult one for me. It's why I've saved it to the last one, because I hate it. But I do think it's a tool you need to know about. If you do have a property that's hard to price, you may want to use this instead of your traditional CMA methods. If you have a very analytical seller, a fact finder who needs to see it in black and white, and you can't just tell them, hey, I've run the comps and I feel like your house should be priced here. They want to see it. And they may want to see it on a graph, and your fact finders and analytical people are going to want it. So I want to introduce the tool to you. I want to show you how it works, but you're going to have to bear with me because I suck at math and I hate it and I don't like this thing. And X times 3% is the only math I do. Okay. So I love y'all. I'm so grateful for y'all coming. Even just teaching y'all today and pouring into you has changed my mindset. I'm in a much better mood. I'm ready to attack the day today and attack the week with fervor. And so I hope you are too. Don't let whatever life is happening around you take you down or pull you down. You guys know you just got to take one day at a time and hit it head on. Okay. And keep doing you, keep being you. Remember what your special sauce is and share the special sauce with the world, because that's what you're here for. That's what they need from you. Okay. Remember, they don't know it unless you tell them. Right? We don't walk around with a t-shirt on us that say, I'm amazing, I'm friendly, I disarm people, I make people feel comfortable. They don't know all that stuff. You got to tell them sometimes. It's okay to brag on yourself in a way that's relatable through storytelling. Okay, we're not going to stand here and pound our chests, but you are going to do it in a way that people say, man, why aren't I working with him? Why aren't I working with her? Right? This is the kind of person I want to be working with. You got to let them in. You got to be vulnerable with them. You have to be more specific in order to grab their attention. Okay? Y'all go out and get them. Okay? Call me if you need me. You know how to find me. And I'll talk to you guys soon. Okay? Thank you. Y'all take care.
Okay.